ENTJs, how can you use your inferior function to dress and look powerful? Now, I know this is pretty much a counterintuitive idea. How can you even use your weakness or your inferior function to dress yourself? So, I've been studying a lot about MBTI, depth psychology, cognitive function, and I cannot deny the fact that our cognition function have a part to play in our decision making, how we perceive the world, our preferences essentially. And so when you pick the outfits that you wear or the kind of inspirations that you get, the choices that you made when it comes to your personal style and your outfits, this comes from your cognitive function. So I have created a series that is just purely talking about each MBTI's inferior function and how can they use it to unlock their potential self through the world of fashion. So I'm a fashion consultant apart from my full-time job where it's about people development. My other side of fashion is helping people to create the image that they desire, that it's going to help them to achieve the goals in their life. It's not just wanting to look good on the outside, but it's how do you connect what you feel on the inside, or what do you value, or what do you have on the inside, and showcase it intentionally on the outside. So a very concrete example would be the kind of clients that I have, people who perhaps have a lot of missed opportunities because they are introverts. They don't speak out, and because they dress in a very reserved, mysterious manner, it makes it even worse, where they are way more reserved than they should be, or naturally it is, and their outfit is showcasing a lot of signals where they are unapproachable, so therefore they have a lot of missed opportunities at work. I also work with people who probably already don't feel confident with their personal style. They don't know where to start. They're just very overwhelmed by trends, and therefore they come to me to get clarity, to streamline what is strategic for them to invest in, how are they going to sustain their personal style in the long run, and most importantly, how do they convey the message that they want to convey through what they wear. Enclosed connection is a real thing where what you wear unconsciously or subconsciously affect how you feel and how you behave. Then obviously it's going to influence the people around you. If you look at the Meridian visual communication, it's broken down into three parts. It is your tone of voice, how you say it, and then what you say, and then the rest of it, which is the visual communication. So your gestures, body language. People pay more attention to things that they don't hear rather than the things that they hear. That's why I am trying to link MBTI, personal style, and personalities all together, because I believe that this is how people can be truly confident with the things that they wear, and most importantly, very intentional with how they dress themselves. So going back to the original topic, ENTJ. These personality types usually have their nickname commander for a specific reason. They are demanding, they are direct, they can be bossy, but all for the good reasons, depending on if they over-abuse their strength. So ENTJs, people do respect you, but they may not necessarily feel relaxed around you. I think most of the time they do not feel relaxed around you. Sometimes it's not because it is part of your personality, because you do have the feeling side of you that you are, probably it's hidden, it's unlocked. It is there within us. We do have all the cognitive function, it's just that we have our preference. So this is essentially what MBTI or cognitive function is all about. So for ENTJs, you have inferior FI, which means it's introverted feeling. Introverted feeling means it's your morality, what you feel, your authenticity. Because that is lower at the cognitive function, your stack, it is considered your inferior function. That's why you are perceived as one of the most successful types out there. You can be very wealthy, you have a lot of goals, you're ambitious, you're a go-getter, you are determined. This is all because you function with extroverted thinking, TE, and that is your hero, that is your strength. But when you overuse that, that is when you appear very intimidating, cold, even more severe. You just appear very demanding, and therefore people don't truly respect you. They respect you in a way where it's because they fear you. That's why they show like they respect you. You question yourself if you are a good person as a whole and what you're doing. Is this really aligned to your values? This is something that pops in your mind from time to time whenever you hit success, whenever you see that you are far ahead of everyone. There is that side of you that you want to prove to people that, hey, although I have all of this, I'm actually a good person. So ultimately, ENTJs, if you look powerful but not safe, people comply, but eventually they don't commit. So a lot of the things that you do, if you're in a leadership role, you're trying to influence people, you want people to follow you, yeah, you might get that at the start, but it's usually not long term. So you often find yourself switching different teams. You might impress the bosses and you get hired easily, but it falls through the crack, right, over the months of you being in that position. People slowly start to get to see that side of you that is very cold-hearted, that is very hard to work with because you don't show your FI. Therefore, a lot of the things that you want to achieve becomes very short and it's not sustained, which makes you burn out over time. So ENTJs, the advice or how have you been dressing is that you always think that you need to dress like the CEO, you need to dress for success, you need to dress to impress, you need to dress to exude your status. You already do, even without dressing, and you do appreciate luxury, fashion, brands. That is of meaning to you because extroverted thinking, TE, its reputation, its status. Therefore, looking credible and having status, the issue is not that you have insufficient authority. The issue is your authority is too overwhelming and unrelatable. So what does inferior FI means to ENTJ? If you're very unfamiliar of it, of course, then you have to continue watching my video because this is a way for you to overcome your inferior function. Yes, I'm gearing this video more towards the fashion element, but there are some things that I'm going to share that may apply to you being more self-aware on how your inferior function is going to show up. Your FI means that your internal values, when you have inferior FI, it means that your internal values and emotions are private. People are not aware of it. Maybe some people even say that you are so successful, you get what you want, and you really suppress your feeling or it's not even there. Even to you, sometimes you can't feel it. So your overall appeal, demeanor or impression becomes very extremely controlled. You look extremely sharp, very polished, so there is no softness or flaw or any form of humanity. It doesn't make you look human because you have no flaws. So if you look at the charisma scale made popular by Vanessa Van Edwards, the charisma scale, the star that you want to be, which is how do you appear charismatic, is where you have a balance between warmth and competence. ENTJ fall very heavily on the side of competence and they neglect, or maybe they just unaware of how to showcase the warm side of them without them thinking that warmth, making myself look approachable, it just makes me weak. I think that is the misconception here. It looks like whenever they wear something that is more casual, soft and approachable, they feel uncomfortable. They feel like they are not credible. They feel like people don't respect them. They fear losing respect if they look too approachable. So they choose outfits that look like a weapon and armor whenever they feel stressed. So when you want to spot ENTJ, when you see them looking super sharp and polished, they are probably very stressed out because that is overcompensating. Now this is again, disclaimer, it's a stereotype, but if you watch American Psycho, you will know that the main character, Christian Bale, is an ENTJ. If you watch the movie, even watch the trailer itself, you will see every side of ENTJ inferior FI being expressed. They're very controlled, very composed, things need to be in a certain way. When something makes them feel inferior, they lash out, right? So that's why they default to a lot of sharp lines, darker color palette, anything that is very strong and bold. That is the ENTJ. Okay, so I am obviously stereotyping and overgeneralizing. So ENTJs, please, you will not get offended. I'm not referring to all ENTJs. I'm referring to ENTJs who maybe are going through this, most likely. A stereotype is still useful in some sense. It gives you a framework rather than giving too much ambiguity. There's no reference point. So of course, there are ENTJs who are very aware, they are very developed in their introverted feeling, and they are able to flex the side where they need to look more casual, more approachable. Of course, there are ENTJs who are more adaptable and they're able to flex. So power without warmth just looks like danger. Therefore, ENTJs, if you have a team that you're working with and you have peers, other departments that you want to have influence over, power is not all. You need to have warmth, the charisma, in order for people to relate to you and really follow you in a sustainable or genuine way, not out of fear. I will go through very quickly about ENTJs, usually what they wear, but I will say that the armor uniform are just things that makes them look super impressive, super polished, super competent. It could be wearing high status or high-end brands all over the place, making people feel intimidated, making themselves look super upper class, that people find them unrelatable. So that could be it. I will just generalize it as a whole, unlike my previous videos where I was a little bit more detailed, but that of course is something that I have to analyze your wardrobe to be able to judge, to see that does it align with your current aesthetic, even your physical self. There are some ENTJs who have softer features, but they have their outfits to kind of balance things out. And then there are ENTJs who already have RBF, which makes things even harder when they have over-controlled outfits or certain colors that are very strong and dark that makes them look even more intimidating as a whole. So that is not ideal. So even though ENTJs, your intent of what you wear is that you are capable, you're serious, you're an efficient person, but when you overdo it, you can come off cold. It can come off like you are judging and looking down on people, even though you don't want to. So that's why extroverted feeling FE users, ISFJ, ESFJ, ENFJ, they are so scared of dressing this way because they don't want people to feel like they are above them, because they're so aware of the social cues and the signaling of it that they will underdress just to make the person feel good. Now, the thing is, ENFJs or FE users shouldn't do that because by their nature of communication, they are already very much harmony focused. So if they wear also harmonious outfit or underdress, it go against them where they look like people pleaser, they look like they have nothing to stand on, and it's just someone that would just go with the flow. And people may not really want to hang around them because they're just making everybody happy. So it's the same for ENTJs where their intent and the impact doesn't go hand in hand when they overdo their extroverted thinking or appear too strong. ENTJs, what is my style recipe for you? What is my recommendation? Your goal is approachable authority. Authority can be approachable. Now you need to get that in your head. Authority doesn't mean you need to intimidate or make people fear in order to respect you. So rule number 1, find a piece that is going to soften your overall look. You can wear your blazer, but maybe it doesn't have to be a dark color. It can be something more approachable. It can be beige. It can be your ivory color. It can be a warm tone that is on a lighter shade rather than black and navy, which is extremely competent. Even if you want to wear that, maybe look out for your accessories. Maybe not too much of the silver tone where it's gonna come off very cool, which is not ideal for someone who wants to look approachable. And then perhaps if you have structured jacket, your pants can be something a bit more soft. Or even your inner piece, it can be a t-shirt rather than a shirt that has collar, and then you have your lapel from the blazer. It can be too much, right? Look at your pieces as a whole. Let's say you have 3 pieces, 4 pieces. Make sure that one of it has a softer touch to it. It's not stripping away your original self entirely. I would say that the human cue or the warm cue, it's apart from the color palette that is warm, You should look for accessories that it's not just screaming out loud the brand. Now, I have to be very careful. I know that there are brands that you want to wear in order to showcase your status. You don't really necessarily need to pile so much of it all together, like your bracelet is branded, your watch is branded, your earring is branded. It's just too much. So what is something that you can tone down in order for you to look more relatable and approachable? I think that is something that you should look out for. Instead of going super pointed toe, sharp, and very tailored, you could go for a rounded toe box. You could go for sneakers, loafers. If you dress too sharp, you will come off a bit more intimidating because of your nature. Avoid extreme contrast, so go for things that are monotonous. Ideally, like I said, in warm color palette if it suits your skin tone, but in all case, maybe don't go for charcoal gray, go for light gray because that is slightly more approachable. Still an emotionless color, but slightly more approachable because of its lightness rather than your charcoal gray, which is closer to black, and that is more intimidating. And then overly sharp tailoring is something that you should avoid. Try to do a bit of proportion where there's a soft and a hard element to your silhouette. And then of course avoid heavy, aggressive hardware. I think ENTJs can gear towards the edgy side of things, so edginess could be something that you might wanna tone down a little bit. Yeah, ENTJs, these are some of my outfit recommendations. Let me know what you think. Let me know what is your personal style. Does this resonate with you? But ultimately, I think I'm trying to help TJs emulate their introverted feeling through their outfits, where it shows the human side of them. It shows that they can be artistic, they can be creative, but on a more commercial, approachable end rather than looking very sharp all the time, which is not relatable. Very much aloof and arrogant, so that is something that you should avoid if your goal is for people to perceive you in a way where you can lead, you are charismatic, you do care, you do have your standards, but you're also human. I think that is what is going to help make your competence, your credibility, your power scaled and more sustainable. Again, nothing is short burst for you. If you over and over again need to impress people, but people don't buy your look and your overall appeal, it's just going to make you work harder, and that goes against your extroverted thinking, which is you want things to work and you want things to be efficient. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know which MBTI I should do next. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.